Thank you so much, Renee. Welcome to the virtual Empowered CEO Summit. And I am so excited to have you here with me today. The point of the summit is really to empower women CEOs to work smarter and not harder, so that we can all thrive in this age of AI. Before we dig in, I just want to give your bio, which is so amazing. So I don't want to miss any of the details. So René Clayton is an experienced AI strategist, an author, and a leader dedicated to helping individuals learn about artificial intelligence and emerging technology. Her career is distinguished by her commitment to enhancing experiences through innovative solutions, making her a respected thought leader. Clayton's expertise is recognized in her impactful initiatives and contributions to prominent journals, showcasing her insights on emerging technology and trends. She has been a speaker at digital banking conferences for AI, and she's also led multiple roundtables and panel discussions since 2016. So she's not new to the AI game. She's been here. She knows what she's talking about. Clayton has also facilitated webinars with MasterCard on fintech, open banking, and AI. An award her and her team won in 2018 for an AI/IoT payments contest was #1 in how to best explain to mom. I love that because I'm trying to teach my mom about AI and it's not easy. So I love that. Her unique aspects of AI expertise are derived from projects with Google Home, Amazon Alexa, and she led 2 graduate students for summer internships. Furthermore, she ran entirely from ideation to execution, a very high-profile MVP project to present to the board of directors at her company that she worked for at the time. So Renee's hands-on; she's hands on deck, and this was for a payment chatbot that was multilingual, English and Spanish. So Renee's academic and professional credentials underscore her dedication to continuous learning and leadership excellence. She earned her bachelor's degree in business administration at Liberty University. My younger brother also went to Liberty University. And her further executive training in leadership, AI, IoT, and digital strategy from MIT. So that's huge. Outside of the office, if you can imagine, she has more time outside of the office. Renee is passionate about traveling the world with her family, spending time outdoors in nature, and with her Pembroke Welsh corgis. Is that how you say that?
Yes, they're dogs.
Oh, okay. Dogs, yes. She embodies the essence of a visionary leader whose work ethic and passions inspire those around her to strive for greatness. So I love being in your company, Renee. You represent all things amazing in terms of AI, empowering women and men. And so thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, April. I'm honored to be here today to speak to your audience.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just kind of just to reiterate how this all came together, I've been seeing a lot of movement in the AI space, and I feel that women are getting left behind. And so as I started this project, I was reaching out to a few different thought leaders, and I realized most of them are not women. And so I know in order to change the narrative and really create impact, we have to start speaking up. And so I actually didn't have to do a lot of digging. I think for all those manels that I see, I'm like, these people are not looking hard because there's a lot of women in the AI space who are really changing the game. And Renee, I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you. So
You're welcome.
I'm gonna dig into the topic, which is AI revolution, empowering individuals to innovate and profit. And I think this is a big deal. And you can give me some insight. I feel like people are past the stage, maybe the wow of ChatGPT and AI. And now it's like, let's move it into something that's productive, something that's hands-on. How do we innovate? How do we profit from AI, in general? So what are your thoughts on that? How are you seeing that evolve?
Absolutely. So so AI is not new.
Mhm.
AI has been around, the basic traditional AI has been around for over 70 years. I think a lot of people don't realize that. And we've even had generative AI available for over 20 years,
Wow.
just not been widely discussed or talked about. It was more in the labs and in the government.
Wow.
So with the way that the revolution is happening, especially over the last 24 months with OpenAI's platform of ChatGPT, and then behind that we had Anthropic's Claude,
Yeah.
we have Perplexity, and then all the other ones that are building upon that. Meta has their own. So they're just, it's now more prevalent in today's society, and people are on one or two sides. They're afraid of it or they're embracing it. Those are the two things I'm seeing. And it's not just people, it's businesses, right? So if we're talking about from the business standpoint, businesses are right now working on their AI strategy, and they've been working on their AI strategy for years. But what they have found, what I have found in that journey over the last 6, 7, 8 years is that we needed the data. We needed the data and we needed the compute power. So if you marry those two, that's where it's gotten us to be where we are right now. Now we have access to data and cleaner data. So there's all different, I don't want to necessarily go into it right now, but there's structured data, unstructured data. There's a way you have to clean the data. And that's really where generative AI has come into play. So AI itself is, there's layers. There's machine learning, deep learning, and AI is more of the umbrella. That works with the data. Now, also what I found is that, and everyone else too, we have now this generative AI, and what that's doing is it's looking at, let's say, all the books in the world, and it's read it. It doesn't necessarily understand it. It understands the patterns.
Got it.
So that's just a little background kind of on where we got from where we were to where we are now, and why it was now why it's so exponentially more prevalent.
Yeah.
So now we have ChatGPT, which is the one that I think has the most power. It has the most use cases. The data is up to date up until October, as of today, which is September 2024.
Okay.
The data in ChatGPT is up to date as of October 20th of 2023. You can access the internet through it, but the one that had the model, and so it's a model, and then the model that uses the internet is Perplexity. That one has a direct link to the internet.
Yeah.
And then Anthropic Claude Sonnet, which is one of the models, that's also an older, more static generative AI. So going back to your original question, how can we make it available to everyone and really use it?
Yeah.
I think in order for companies and people not to be afraid of it, is to just know that it is like your new friend that you've never met, and you need to talk to it the way you would talk to anyone. If you can't talk to people, you can't talk to AI.
That's such a great point. Yeah.
So businesses can become more productive by using the tools.
Yeah.
There are lots of tools out there. There are engineers that can create tools for specific use cases.
Right.
So I think with whether you're a small company, medium, or big company, you would go in and you would, just like any other project, right? For product development, you would decide, hey, I have this problem or this challenge or this need. Let's whiteboard it out.
Yeah.
Once you figure out what you're trying to solve, then you can go into many different, variety of AI platforms or tools And then you can help solve that problem
Yeah.
using a tool that's directed towards what the company is trying to do.
Yeah. I love, not to cut you off, I love that you start with a problem solution mindset because a lot of the small business owners that I know of, they're so overwhelmed with everything that AI can do. They're trying to do everything all at once. Instead of saying, this is the goal that I have, this is the next step that I'm trying to get to, and what is the best tool in order to do that. So I love that you brought that in. Like you can do anything with it, but it's better to start, you're almost saying start with the end in mind. Like, what is the goal that you're trying to achieve, and then it could be probably less overwhelming.
That's right. That's right. And I do that with any kind of product development or service development.
Mm-hmm.
So if a company, as an example, wanted to shorten their call agent time, as an example, so the time it takes for an agent to take a call, let's say maybe in a contact center,
Mm-hmm.
they could create a system, depends on which model you're using. They have different names, but whichever one you're using, they could narrow that problem down, have a metric, an OKR, and decide, hey, where do we want to go and how do we want to get there? If you're a person and you're a content creator, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit later, I want to get to 5,000, followers in an X amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really, the AI is not truly thinking. I think people think it thinks. It
Yeah.
doesn't. That's maybe further down the line. We're in Gen AI right now. So there's traditional AI, regular AI. We're on the cusp
Mm-hmm.
of AGI.
AGI, yeah. Okay.
And then what people are kind of afraid of,
Right.
rightly so, is
Mm-hmm.
AS, which
Mm-hmm.
is we don't need to talk about that today.
That's the one everyone is afraid of. Like it's gonna be
Well,
taking over the
yeah, hopefully the government will keep it under control
yeah.
when that happens. But AGI is predicted by the experts to
Right.
be here sooner rather than we thought. So, for instance, we are even in generative AI about 8 years prior to what even the highest
Wow.
level experts thought we would be, where we
Wow.
are. And we're looking at AGI, which is the next level, where it can create its own ideas
Right. Yeah.
and help us even more.
Wow.
Probably 2029, 2028.
Wow. I mean, with it moving so quickly, like it's burning on people's minds. Like, okay, how do I? It's almost like if you haven't started using it, are you already behind? How do you actually leverage it? How do you benefit from it as you're trying to adapt it into your life, especially when it's, moving at a light speed?
You're right. It's moving at light speed. And I would say going back to taking that narrow approach first, whether you're a company or a person, an individual person, is again, what are you trying to solve?
Mhm.
What is your goal? And just start small. So ChatGPT right now has free. The
Mhm.
4 Omni version, the 4 little O means Omni.
Mhm.
So it's modal. You can use it on your phone, and instead of having multiple models behind it, they have put it all into one. You can use the free version or you can use the paid version.
Mhm.
Under the free version, you're just going to be able to use it a little bit less. But
Mhm.
they could just let's use an example. So if I'm a business and I want to come up with a new slogan for my business,
Mhm.
I would give it open up the chat when the GPT window.
Mhm.
I mean, if I'm getting too tactical here, let me know.
Okay,
I'm
no, I
just
think yeah.
because you said, where does someone start?
Mhm.
There's so many tools out there. So to kind of forget the external tools, let's just focus on the one is what I would recommend to anyone. And they could say, hey, chat, you don't have to call it anything. You say, I want to
Mhm.
create a new slogan. Now,
Mhm.
what that prompt would look like as You tell it how to act
Mm-hmm.
first, act as the chief marketing officer of my restaurant
Mm-hmm.
that sells pizza
Mm-hmm.
in New York. So you kind of give it context, just like I would a person, right? So when you and I introduced each other,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about where are we from, what we do, who we are. You have to tell the chatbot exactly, or I'm sorry, it's not a chatbot. You have to tell the model what you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you say, with a vivid, spicy tone, right? So, or a neutral, formal tone, like, right? So you give it some more context. And here's my current slogan. How can I make it better? I also like to say, think before you answer
Mm-hmm.
and ask me any clarifying questions.
That's a great one.
It's a
Yeah.
really simple framework to talk to any chat model that is out there.
Yeah. That
And
I love
then
that strategy because you're basically like start small and you're talking to the model as if you're talking to a friend that it doesn't know what you're actually working on, you know? So I think it eliminates that overwhelm. Some of the people that I speak to that are not don't have an engineering background, they're like, it's too technical. I don't know how to code. I'm like, if you can talk to your mom, as you have in your bio, if you can explain to your mom or your grandma, then you'll be able to really interact with the technology. And I think that's, yeah, I love how you're putting it because that's how you would just meet a new friend or meet someone for coffee and tell them about a project that you're doing. So it makes it feel very accessible.
yes, exactly. Thank you. And another way that I think companies can especially use it is, let's say they're trying to uh, teach it a new onboarding process for an employee.
Mhm.
You can ask it to tell you step by step and break it down into steps, and even tell it, talk to me like I'm in 8th grade, or
Mhm.
talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old
Mhm.
or a brand new employee. And then you can upload a PDF of your current
Mhm.
onboarding plan. You can upload it, and
Mhm.
then you can ask it, how can I make this better? And then it will come back with responses to you. You can
Yeah.
do the same thing with your resume. You can upload your resume, your PDF resume, and say, how is this relevant in 2024? This is the job I'm looking for in this area. And this is, and give it more details.
Mhm.
Now, there's another level that you can go to, which is more where you create your own GPTs within ChatGPT.
Right.
But we'll just keep it pretty basic for the brand new person that's a little bit nervous, or the small business owner, or business leader
Yeah.
who is just now starting out. To answer your original question, no, it's not too late to get started. It's
Okay.
not at all.
I also had a quick question for you that just came up. From a business perspective, if you're a small business owner and you're using ChatGPT, outside of the monthly cost of it, if you're doing the pro version, should you be concerned about, like, when I'm seeing people talking about putting a budget for AI? Is it beyond that $20 a month for ChatGPT? Is it like hiring? Where are you seeing that landscape moving from like a business perspective when people are talking about you need to have a budget for AI, by 2025 or something?
Right. Yeah, so that budgeting is going to encompass a lot of things, April.
Mhm.
You're going to have a budget for your data, the
Data.
data and the data governance. So from a company standpoint, at a very high level, you're going to need to put guardrails around the data and have a data governance committee
Mhm.
to manage how you're going to leverage the AI with your business data and that framework. So
Okay.
that's, the first thing that you're going to do. Probably have a data center of excellence
Mhm.
and a data governance lead. So that's where some of the budget's going to come into play.
Mhm.
Additionally, for a company, you would get the enterprise version. So like, for instance, you could use Microsoft Teams and have ChatGPT within that, or Copilot, depending on how that works in your own company. So the enterprise version is more expensive.
Mm,
And so you would need a budget for how many employees that you have that are going to be leveraging it. And where are you going to leverage it? Are you going to leverage it inside of your, your emails, where is that going to be leveraged?
mhm.
So there's a lot to understand about the magnitude of where you're trying to get to.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like it's like you said, it's a step-by-step process. But now just switching from like a business mindset, there's also a lot of people that are afraid, especially those who are creative, maybe multi-passionate. How can they protect their creativity while still using AI? How are you seeing that interaction of human creativity enhanced with AI? Is it, stay away from using it in certain ways? What has been your experience?
Yeah, I have some people in my life that I know, and even myself as a creative and an author. I think that they don't need to be afraid. We need the human, I call it human in the loop, the human element, our perspective, the way we speak,
Mhm.
and our ideas. So we have to imagine it first. So for instance, this conference, this Empowered CEO Summit, you imagined that, and then now it's coming to fruition.
Mhm.
It's very similar to um, being an author or being a creative. You just take those ideas and you're taking it to the next level.
Mhm. Mhm.
So there are lots of tools out there. So for the artists, there's Midjourney. There's a lot of video tools out there to create video content. Course creation it can help with writing copy for journals, all sorts of things on websites. Create your website. So it's not going to take that away. And I don't think they should be afraid of it. I think what they can do with it is they can just elevate what they're doing um, by still doing their own creations, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
whichever genre they're in, use the right tool,
Mhm.
and then take what their idea is and elevate the
Elevated. Yeah.
quality of that. And it's also a matter of community
Mhm.
and them getting with the right community to share those ideas and add the human touch, because the human touch is always going to be necessary. The
Yeah.
human strategy, the strategy we can come up with, keeping the human element within that is always going to be really important, especially in the next, 2 to 3, 5 years,
Yeah.
as we get used to this new normal.
And I love that you mentioned that because I do feel like in the business world, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of likeness across gurus and experts. And so what I'm seeing is that the better you can present your most authentic self, the better you'll be able to stand out. And so you can kind of allow AI to do the tedious tasks of creating the copy or creating the sales strategy. But as you're getting better at who you are and what those unique gifts are that you have, that's what's going to start separating people in these new industries and in these markets. Have
Right.
you seen that in like the noise that's happening and now people are like maybe spending more time on their unique values or?
I have, and that even includes myself.
Mm,
So I, have seen, let's just say even brand agencies, as for an example. I have a couple of friends that have brand agencies and all over the country, in California and New York and Chicago. And they're using AI to take their original excellent copy and make it better,
mhm.
uh, streamlining what they're doing. So something that maybe used to take, this is, I think, one of the best use cases right now
Yeah.
is making people more efficient. So instead of something taking 20 hours, now it takes 2 hours. Instead of something taking 5 hours, maybe now it takes 15 minutes
Mhm.
once they learn whatever it is that they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like if it's um have you found that because I think for me, some of the caveats that I've seen is that people who don't have like a standard process are now trying to jump, like to automate something. They're trying to streamline before they actually define what it is that they're what they're.
Right.
So, how have you seen that play out in the business environment?
Right. So that's one of the best use cases, first
Mhm,
of all, is to, it helps get people thinking
mhm,
where, what is the step that I'm doing, right? What am I working on? And there are tools out there that can watch you work, like
mm.
different AI tools that will watch you work, and it will um, document every step of the way of what you're doing, and then it can create the workflow and the plan. And
Wow,
there's there is probably an AI tool for everything right now.
everything.
But that's where you, like you said, there's a lot of noise, and anyone can get overwhelmed.
Mhm,
And so I would say stay simple, look at the top tools depending on, what the use case is. So you will have to identify the use case
yeah.
of what you're trying to accomplish,
Mhm,
and then take that, and then help you figure out what the steps are. Because a lot of people uh, know in their head how to do things, but they don't know how to tell other people. And
right.
AI has created that. It's great. It's breaking things down step by step, especially if you ask it to ask where there's a gap.
Mm,
Here's my process.
mhm,
What am I missing? What do you think, if another person was trying to copy this process, what am I missing? And it can tell you that.
yeah. That's awesome. I actually didn't know, and I should have known that there was an AI tool that can watch you working and then create a procedure, like a standard procedure for you. That is going to be, as soon as we finish, I'm going to jump on that and look for that because I love having processes and not having to recreate the wheel. So that's actually a huge gem for me.
Yeah, well, I will say that, with AI, there's automation. And so automation is kind of where I started my journey in 2015. And so there's a great book called Automate Your Busy Work. And I
Ooh.
normally have it right at my fingertips. I don't have it at my fingertips right now, but it's
Oh,
an excellent book. And it also lists tools for any type of thing that you want to do, any
mm,
task that you want to accomplish.
mhm,
And the book's maybe a year or two old, but it gives you a good framework. So for instance, if you were wanting to keep a track of your leads for your company and your lead generation and your emails, and have them sent out automatically, there are companies that do that. There are so it, that use AI.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna definitely check that book out. I have a goal to read 100 books this year, so I'm about halfway through. So
That's a great goal.
yes.
I like it.
Just as you mentioned, with the automation, I see a lot of people wanting to jump in automation. What do you see? Actually, it's interesting that you started in automation and that was now, 10 years ago or so, and now people are talking about automation. So do you see a future of automation, or do you see the future being something different, or how are you seeing it since you've been in the automation game for so long?
So basic robotic process automation, RPA, has been in play in the technology world or business world for years and years and years. I don't even know how many years, but 20 plus years. And
Mhm.
that's where there really wasn't and there was no AI to it. It was just, here's a list of rules that
Mm,
never change. So
okay.
let's just say you always turn on your computer by pressing the button, and then you always go to the right, and then you always type in this text, where things that don't change, they're very static. That's basic automation.
Mhm,
So that's the RPA.
mhm,
And then you can marry that with AI, where it can have different functionalities and different decision points within the automation. So if you were Are we going to go left? Then we're going to have this automation. Are we going to go right? Then we're going to have this automation. So then there's some decisioning points in that. And that's where the AI comes into play. So I believe that AI and automation are going to continue to stay together and work really well together, especially when it comes to business, and to get rid of that busy work so that we can all be more productive. We can use our creative minds, and we can use our, our own strategies to, have that elevated communication. I think using any kind of automation or AI tool is going to require humans, us, to continue to have the really good and authentic conversations about what's important to our business. Businesses are going to change. They're already changing. There are problems out there that we haven't, and challenges that we haven't faced before that we're now having to face. And the AI and automation community is very rapidly discussing it on an hourly or daily basis.
Minute by minute basis. In terms of the future of work, just something that just came to mind for those who are employed in that section of maybe admin, the repetitive tasks, the people that are like, my job is going to get taken by AI. Do you feel there's a message for them to, upskill? Like, what can they do if they're doing that, menial task that AI can now do? Is there a message you have for that person?
Absolutely. And actually in my book, I mentioned I have a very, very short chapter about future-proofing your job by keeping those skills up to date and upskilling. So I think we should all upskill continually, regardless of what we're doing. So I think that's number one, especially in our current job market.
Right.
But in terms of AI and automation, so if you're thinking about, let's say, a fraud representative, an assistant, like an executive assistant, anyone that's doing a repetitive task, they can definitely continue to learn about what the tools are. If they know how to use the tools in their field, whether it's restaurant or the automotive field or the healthcare, if they can learn to use the tools, then they're going to be successful. If they embrace the technology and embrace the tools. The people that won't be successful, from what I'm hearing, and this is just a discussion in general across in any industry, is if they don't embrace it and they say, no, I'm good. I don't need to learn that. I'm good. Because even in restaurants, there are robots already created that can make the best lasagna on the planet. It's true.
Right.
There are robots that are now becoming very, and robotics goes hand in hand with AI, right? But their price is coming down. So right now I could order a robot for like $16,000, and it could clean my house. And maybe in 3 or 4 years, it might be $3,000. So things to keep in mind are automation, AI, Gen AI, and robotics together. I know I'm kind of taking it to the next level of what to think about, but as long as they're keeping in touch with what's going on, and it doesn't take a lot. And we're talking 30 minutes a day, 3 or 4 days a week on finding out what's relevant in their world. So for instance, if I was a real estate agent, there are tools out there that can help real estate agents know what are the hottest trends right now in the market. Are condos selling faster in this geographical location, or are these farms in Texas selling quicker because people are getting rid of their cattle? Whatever it is, there's an algorithm and an AI that can help you identify what you need to work on, regardless of your industry. I think there are some industries that are probably a little bit safer. Safe is not the right word, but for instance, I don't think I got my hair cut recently. I
Mhm.
don't think I would let a robot cut my hair,
Right. It's like,
right? My daughter is a horse trainer. I don't think that their AI is going to train the horses. So
right.
there, there are certain, but in the business
Protected, or yeah, I know what you mean. Like
in the
safe isn't the
business
word,
world,
but
I think as long as people can embrace it and learn about it and educate themselves through books, webinars, podcasts, every whatever is comfortable for them,
yeah.
they're going to be okay as long as they just learn and embrace it. And they're already using it. They're already using Siri. They're using Alexa. They're using the GPS apps in
Mhm.
their mobile banking. They're using it. They just don't know it.
Don't know it. Exactly. That's a great point. I always try to mention that. Like if you have ordered anything on Amazon or if you've used Alexa, you're already using AI. So even children are now prompting with Alexa and Siri. And so no, that's a really great point. Don't be afraid of it. You're using it. But this has
Exactly.
been so amazing. I wanted to just also ask you as we're wrapping up, if it's let's fast forward 50 years from now, so I don't
55
know.
0.
50, yeah, 50. So 50 years from now, AI has completely taken over. It's a best case scenario. There's no, this fear and doom kind of situation. For you, what does that future look like?
Well, April, that is a big question. I think everybody wants to know that question. Um, I don't know if I could even remotely think about what's going to happen in 50 years, but how about we go maybe 15 years, right? So let's
Okay,
go
bring it
15.
down.
Um, it's going to, from what I've been studying, the roundtables I'm on, the deep discussions I'm on with world leaders in the AI space, not world leaders, but the AI leaders in the world. Let me rephrase that. What we're seeing is that it's going to be so much more ubiquitous, right? So it's going to be very intertwined and effortless as far as, first of all, things we've never thought of before. The way we interact, even so, one thing that's drastically changing already that you may or may not have seen is we're going from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0.
Yeah.
So the way the way we interact with Google, that's going to be gone. That will no longer be in our space, and that's going to come sooner rather than later.
Wow.
We're not going to have this search engine type world anymore.
Wow.
I would assume that even right now we're kind of almost in the Jetson era, right? Like if you look back in the 1950s and we're having these video calls, we have the robot that vacuum our house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coffee makers, that sort of thing. So in light of that, I would see that there will be maybe less physical devices. We'll have more digital. Maybe our TVs are on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
The way we interact with each other.
Yeah.
That's a really difficult question to answer. And I just know from my conversations that the way we interact with our computer systems, our laptops, our
Mm-hmm.
mobile phones, our smartphones, that's all changing, and it's changing drastically. Apple just announced their Apple Intelligence. So
Mm-hmm.
one of, like, as an example, they have new headsets for your ears. It
Mm-hmm.
can help people that maybe have a hearing problem.
Wow.
So there's going to be a lot of, I would say, let's get excited. Let's not be afraid. Let's
Yeah.
get excited because the medical field, um, though even with robotic surgeries,
Mm-hmm.
all of
Yeah.
those things are
Mm-hmm.
going just to get to the next level, and they're going to make our life better and easier.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of experts in the world that are working on the ethical side of this, which, we don't have time to talk about today,
Mhm.
but you might be talking about it with another person, that the ethical side of this isn't at the forefront.
Mhm.
And that as long as we're aligning the ethical piece with the technology, the compute power,
Yeah.
um, and the data, and the privacy is really important. So in 15 to 50 years,
Mhm.
um, our lives are going to look different from a technology point of view and how we interact with that technology. And I'll just leave it at that.
You mentioned with there's the conversation of ethical AI is something I'm always really trying to figure out because I'm on the side of people are going to do what they're going to do. So someone who's going to break into your car and steal something, they're going to do those devious behaviors anyway, right? So on one side of it, how do we protect or guard against that? But then
Mhm.
also I wonder from an ethical perspective, the people who are making the rules of how AI will work moving forward. I don't know if diversity is also an issue when we talk about it being ethical. Like, is it fully representing a global perspective? There was a lot of, not contrast, but there was a lot of conversation around, the initial data that AI was built on was kind of one-sided in terms of it didn't
Bias.
represent every voice. And so is that a part of the conversations moving forward in terms of making it more ethical, making it more responsible? I feel like the words get kind of mumbled together. I'm trying to
I think
figure
you're talking, yeah, I think you're talking about bias in the data.
out.
Yes, we saw that with Microsoft, the original chat. We did see the bias in the data, and
Yeah.
we have seen it with others in the past. But yes, it's not just around bias, and diversity and inclusion, and all of that is very prevalent and at top of mind. Another thing that's top of mind in the same space is also data privacy. So
Mm,
privacy, with all of you think about, you have your Ring at your front door, you have cameras off your car. There's just, there's so much out there that needs guardrails, and that's where the data governance comes in. That's where the data ethical practices come in. That's where they have top, like Elon Musk and other people out there that are signing, Bill Gates, they're signing documents saying we need to have guardrails around X, Y, and Z.
mm,
And last year they actually paused
mhm,
development for about 6 months,
mhm,
so they could get certain things in place. Different governments are also putting guardrails.
mhm.
So Europe has guardrails. California currently is looking at boundaries. There's a lot of discussions that, again, we don't have time to go into right now, but there are a lot of discussions, and it is on the forefront of people's minds. And I think that's really good, and it's really important.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this has literally been amazing. I'm a tech person, but I love handwritten notes. So I have like 5 pages of notes I'm gonna like digest
That's
later
great.
on today. But this has been really amazing. I know the audience is gonna love it. I feel like it's very practical. You've made it very exciting. And I think for people that want to stay in touch and find you and get more insight, well, how can we find you? How can we support what you're doing moving forward with your book and other initiatives you're working on?
Sure, Pearl, thank you. So everyone can find me on LinkedIn, Renee Clayton, Renee with Winnie. And that's the best place to reach me at the moment. And happy to answer any questions or connect. I do have a pretty wide network, and it's growing every day. And it's been an honor and pleasure to talk with you today and be part of the Empowered CEO Summit. And I hope that this is, like you said, don't be afraid. Let's all not be afraid of it. Let's embrace the change and help it elevate the quality of our lives and give us more time to spend with our families and the things that we value and love.
Yeah, I love you. You perfectly put that at the end. I love that. So thank you again so much for sharing so generously your experience. I really appreciate it. I'll ensure that everyone has your information. This has been amazing, and I just again want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. You too.